Well, let's head out to Arizona now. This man's still a folk hero here in our city, despite the fact that it's actually been now 2 years since he's been here. But as you see on the screen currently, we always think of this image and why we will forever love now Diamondbacks catcher James McCann, who's back with us now here on GCR. James, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to catch up with you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
Hey James, we put the picture up on the screen. How many times during like the span of a month does someone approach you somewhere with a picture with the gauze in, the whole deal, the puffy face, and say, "Brother, can you please sign this for me?"
Yeah, no, it definitely was a hot topic for a while, and you know, I enjoyed getting to kind of share who I was as or who I am, honestly, just as a person and my mentality, and that in that moment that kind of showed exactly who I was.
That's I think what everybody appreciated about it. Do you? I mean, like that what you felt back and the love that you received from Orioles fans, because you've obviously made a few stops in your career now, but do you still feel the attachment that Orioles fans had for you and the respect because of that moment?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, even before that, I really enjoyed my time there. I really enjoyed the fan base. I felt like, that being the veteran presence on a very young core, that, we had a lot of success. I felt like, I really did feel the love from the fan base, before that, and then it just got even more so after that event.
Yeah, to your point, they were a special couple of years here in Baltimore in general. We will have a lot of fond memories about it. All right, now here's my thing, and I swear I'm not going to do just 10 minutes with you all about this moment. But for me, I would want every like team photo that I ever took moving forward to reflect on this moment. Like I would want this to be iconic for me. Had you ever thought about like saying to the Diamondbacks, "Hey, when we get to photo day, is there any way I could like pop some gauze in the nose and remind everybody what it is that I'm capable of doing?"
No, no. It's just kind of one of those things where I can point back to it in conversation, and now it's more something that I remind my kids of more often than I remind anyone else, as I try to teach them how to be tough.
That's cool, right? Like, how old are your kids, James?
I have twin boys that are 8.
Okay, and I'm assuming they're both playing baseball.
They are. They both they love baseball. They do everything: basketball, flag football, but they would choose baseball over anything.
What is it? Do they realize how cool dad is, or are they still at the age? Because I deal this. I got 11 and 8. Did they just you're still dad? You're not that cool. It's just a job. Like what? Where is the line between those two things?
Um, it's hard to tell, honestly. I think that they think that I'm really cool. Like they love my wife. They love her to death, but they would choose to be with me and come to the field and do, that over anything with her, pretty much. And like my wife and I talk about it, it's no offense to her. It's just more,
Right.
little boys that
Want to
see
be
what
you?
dad does and they want to do that. Now, do they understand that the likelihood of playing in the major leagues, of how small that is, and how their friends' dads aren't playing in the major leagues, and their friends aren't getting to come into clubhouses, and their friends aren't getting to go on the field and shag, batting practice? I don't know if they really understand that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think that they do. They do think it's really cool, which is awesome. But I don't know that they really understand how unique what they're getting to experience
Yeah,
is.
it's not everybody in their like class is getting to do the same thing.
Right,
At
right,
some point
right.
they'll recognize that. At some point it'll hit them. Obviously, now hang on a second because ironically we could tell like we've gone back and looked and like Jackson Holiday at 8 years old, you could see the swing, right? Like you could see, oh, this kid's different. Like, can you look at your kids and see any of that and be like, man, I don't know, like he might have it.
You know, there's definitely times where I'm able to look at them and say, wow, they're a lot better than I was at that age.
Hmm.
So I try not to I try not to compare to other kids their age. I try to just kind of focus on them and let them have fun playing the game, and understand that part of the reason why I made it to the major leagues is because I developed a passion and a love for the game at an early age. So I try not to put pressure on them, but I will say, like, they see how I train, they see how I work, and they want to do the same thing. I was joking with my teammates out here. The other day we were out on the field. I was hitting them ground balls, and we'd already done everything, and we've been out there for, I'm not joking, 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And we go to leave, and both my kids are like, "Can we hit again?" I'm like, "No, we are going home. We've been out here for long enough. We're like, well," and both looked at me without even cracking a smile and said, "Well, how do you expect us to get better if you're not going to let us work?"
Wow. Wow. Can you
So,
can you have them hang around my kids for a little bit? I need that to rub off somehow. Man, that's cool. I'm so jealous of that. That
yeah,
is awesome, man. James McCann is with us here on GCR. James, I wonder, like, after having, those special seasons in Baltimore, was there disappointment that it didn't continue? And then take me through, because obviously, there was a little bit there with the Braves, but how it managed to work out for the Diamondbacks afterwards, and getting the opportunity to stick around after last season. How much has that meant to you to sort of find a real home again out there?
yeah. No, I loved my time in Baltimore, and to be honest with you, I was a little surprised that I wasn't back. Everything I'd kind of heard was that they had interest in bringing me back, and I was never the conversations were had as far as there's interest, but there was never an offer actually floated out there. Um, and so yeah, I moved on with my my career. Talked with several teams that off season, and got to a point in I mean, it was right before opening day where I realized that if I wanted to continue my career, I needed to swallow my pride. I felt like I deserved a major league deal, and I'd held out for one, but one wasn't on the table, and I knew that if I wanted to keep playing, that it was up to me to go prove that I deserved it. And it's kind of been, going back to taking a fastball to the face and staying in the game. That's just who I am. I'm not gonna back down, and I'm gonna go out and prove people wrong like I've done my whole career. And that's what I was able to do. I latched on with the Braves and played in AAA for I guess it was a couple months, and then the Diamondbacks had a need, and I was able to get to Arizona, and I really enjoyed my time here.
How tough was that for you to do? Like, this deep into your career, in your 30s, everything that you've accomplished. How tough was it for you to say, all right, if that's what I got to do, I'll go play in AAA for a little while and remind everybody what I'm capable of? Is your mentality one that's like, hey, man, I'll play baseball anywhere that I'm allowed to play baseball? Or did it require, all right, I've got to humble myself a little bit in order to continue doing this?
Yeah, no, it took a lot to swallow my pride.
Yeah.
Like I said, I felt like just what I've accomplished in my career, and what I've proven over the years, that I didn't think I needed to go back to AAA and prove what I could do at the major league level. And I felt like I deserved a major league deal, and there's a lot of guys that are in that boat. I mean, you can look at multiple players across the league that actually ended up retiring. That we talked, and kind of the same situation. Teams voicing interest but not willing to step up, and they ended up saying, "Hey, I'm not going to AAA."
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I felt like I still had something to offer to the game, so I wasn't going to run away from baseball just because I didn't get the opportunity that I desired. I felt like I still had a lot to offer to the game, and that's why I took that deal to prove that I belonged in the big leagues, and that my career wasn't over.
Good for you, man. Good for you, having that all work out for you. Really happy that that's the case. Being out in Arizona, obviously, you get to reunite with Corbin, right? Like, what's it been like being back together with him?
Yeah, no, I really like Corbin Burns. He's obviously one of the best pitchers of the last 4, 5, 6 years. Whatever it is, going back to when he really took off. But I'm excited to be able to catch him again this year as he returns from
Yeah.
Tommy John and kind of reignite that relationship on the field. But he's been a big piece here in Arizona as far as setting the tone for guys and being a leader on the pitching staff from what I can tell.
Inevitably, at some point, you guys are there's gonna be like a 14 strikeout game, and then like Orioles fans, you're gonna be catching him. Orioles fans are gonna be that Wolverine meme, like watching the two of you together. Just we miss it here. We miss that. James McCann, a couple things I want to run by you. One, you had the opportunity at one point in your career to be part of the Team USA program, correct?
Yes.
So there's been a lot made, obviously, during the course of the World Baseball Classic this week about 2028 and the Olympics, and you keep hearing from guys how much they'd like to do it. Having had the opportunity to put on the colors and play at the international level, can you tell me about why you feel like guys are really starting to get that itch? And I know it's a complicated conversation, and teams are going to have opinions about it because it's tough to shut down the season for a couple of weeks in the middle of the summer. But can you walk me through how meaningful it is and why guys might be of the opinion that, hey, we should figure out a way to work this out so that guys can participate in the Olympics?
Yeah, I'm a believer that I think that the Olympics should definitely be a thing, and it should be the best players. I know that historically there's been, it's like non-40 man guys can compete, but 40 man guys cannot. I think it should be the best of the best that are available and willing should go and represent their countries. And I think that it's probably hard at times from a fan's perspective because they have so much passion and love for their specific team. But when you think about it from a player's perspective, there's just such a bigger meaning being able to compete for the country that you grew up in and the people that made you who you are. Honestly, like the World Baseball Classic is great. I think that it brings a ton of attention to the game. I think that you see the atmosphere in these games and how meaningful these games are. And anything about all the limitations on it. You got pitchers that can only throw a certain number of pitches. You got hitters that are, not playing back-to-back days because they haven't played back-to-back days yet. And so just the timing of it makes it real tough, right? You do the Olympics, and it's in the middle of the summer where guys are built up,
Yep.
guys are in, full game shape, and now you're also putting it on the Olympic stage. Like, I would argue that the Olympics is bigger than what the World Baseball Classic could ever be.
There's no doubt. I mean, with no disrespect,
yeah.
right? But there's no doubt.
Right. Yeah, no disrespect, but
Yeah.
when I played for the Pan American team and I got to go hang out in the Olympic Village and talk to, gold medalists, gymnastic athletes and water polo athletes and all these different sports, like it just puts a different meaning of, wow, I'm in a situation with literally the best athletes in the world right now, and I'm getting to hear, from, their training regimen, what they like to do, different things like that. And then obviously just the competition of trying to go win gold for your country. There's just nothing like that.
I appreciate that, man. Obviously, a couple of your former teammates have shown up here in Baltimore and have kind of immediately taken on leadership roles, right? It's funny. I was just talking to Trevor Rogers yesterday about what Pete Alonso and Chris Bassett have brought to this team. But can you give me a thought about knowing those guys, what they'll bring, not just on the field but off the field, to this Orioles organization?
Yeah. First off, both of those dudes are gamers. Both those guys fit the Baltimore mold of being a grinder. They're Pete, obviously there's an argument for him is to be in the superstar category.
Mm-hmm.
But that dude shows up. He posts every day. He works his butt off. He's a leader by the way he goes about his business, but he's also a leader in the sense that he can be vocal when he needs to be, and he is going to lead. He keeps guys loose. That's one of the biggest things too. Is he leads obviously by example, but also by keeping guys loose. And Bassett's the same way. Bassett is he's that teammate that everyone talks about several years after playing with him about just how awesome he was in the clubhouse and how he interacts with people and how he's not afraid to say the thing that needs to be said.
Hmm.
I enjoyed playing with both of them.
And then my last one for you would be we all saw what happened down the stretch. Adley Rutschman is too good of a baseball player for like what's gone on the last year and a half to be his story. Have you stayed in touch with him at all? Do you have any gut as to what might be going on and where your confidence level is that like it's going to get fixed this season because we know what he's capable of?
Yeah, Adley and I had a great relationship. We have a great relationship. He he's a guy that I wouldn't say we keep in touch like weekly or anything like that,
Yeah.
but when we do connect, it's like we never missed a beat. So I think from his perspective, uh, and honestly, I'll say this just from a veteran's point of view. The league adjusts to you at some point in time. At some point in time, the league is going to adjust to you, and you have to make the adjustment back. Um, and I just think that's kind of been where he's at. I think that he came up and had so much success early on. I think that you're going to see an Adley Rutschman that has made some adjustments to how he's being attacked, and he's the guy that works as hard as anyone, and he's going to figure out a solution. So I have confidence that he's going to get back to who he is. But I also say it from a perspective that when you have a young phenom prospect like an Adley Rutschman or a Gunnar Henderson or even Jackson Holiday, everyone expects them to come up and be Mike Trout and Bryce Harper and Ronald Acuna and be them for the next 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years, right? That's not how it always works. There's always going to be a chance that there's a learning curve. There's something that needs to happen for that player to get to that ability and that superstar level. I mean, you even look at Ohtani. Ohtani wasn't putting up the numbers that he is now his first 2 or 3 years in the big leagues.
You say that, but I'm
Um,
still not convinced that's actually true. I've got like kind of I feel like I pigeonholed like that he's just always hit 70 home runs a year, and then aside because he's just that good.
right. No, and that's what it feels like. It really does. But I remember when he first came over, there was talk about how he had to make swing adjustments.
Yep.
So, yeah, my point is that I think Adley's going to be just fine. I think he's going to be fine. And the other thing that I will point out, and there's no algorithm that will ever point to this. There's no stat on the back of a baseball card that will ever show this. But what a catcher can do behind the plate will always be more important than what he does at the plate. And no matter how many runs you drive in a game, you're going to have a bigger impact on the defensive side for 9 innings than just those 4 or 5 at bats you get in a game. So I think that he understands that. I think he understands where his true value on a 162 game basis is, and then I think the offense is going to just be the icing on the cake for him.
James McCann, there's not a lot of baseball players that inspire Halloween costumes, but my friend, you inspired plenty here in Baltimore a couple years ago. Really appreciate you taking the time for us today. Enjoy Arizona. There are a few better places to be. March in Arizona is about as good as any month in any place anywhere. And so I enjoy your time out there. Appreciate you doing this, and let's chat again real soon. All right.
All right, sounds good. Thank you for having me.